tonight. Yeah, that's the level of enthusiasm I expect. I'm gonna keep using that joke until you guys start cheering more.
Yeah!
See, he's got the hang of it. He's got a hang of it. Consider it blackmail, bitches. So, my name is Art Zager. So, my name is Art Zager, and I will be continuing a stand-up series that I've been doing about the United States president called If He Gets Elected, I'm Leaving the Country. And I've been trying to, before I get started on that, I want to get something across to some of you guys, because I get a lot of questions about like, oh, why did you decide to become a comedian? Why would you even think of that? And I realized when I was really young that my life was going to involve comedy in some way. I was at a friend's house for a birthday party, and we were having an airsoft battle. And for those of you that don't know what airsoft guns are, they fucking hurt if they hit you in the wrong spot. And I had some eye goggles that I had brought with me, but I was up in a treehouse and I was like, why the fuck would I need these? Why the hell would I need these goggles, man? Like, I'm just up in a treehouse. What are the odds that something could hit me in the eye? Literally 5 seconds passed, right in the eye. Like, got stuck right here at the crack. And that alone was not why I got into comedy, so yeah. What happened afterwards, I was inside my friend's house. I was bawling my eyes out. I was like 8 years old, so I was just like tears streaming all fucking night. And then like for no reason, his mom decided to turn on the TV, and there was a Canadian-based show on called Ed and Nettie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
Yes!
It was the report...
You don't see.
For those of you familiar with it, it was the report card episode, if you remember that episode at all.
Yeah.
I started laughing I was still bawling, but I started laughing my ass off, so it was like that crying laughter, like, and my friend's mom looks at me, looks at the TV, and then says, "You kids laugh at the stupidest shit I have ever seen in my life." And so that, I think, probably brought me to where I am today. Because I was laughing at the stupidest shit you all have ever seen in your life. So now that that's out of the way, let's get to the real subject matter. On tonight's episode, entitled, Love Me 2 Times? Maybe?
Love me twice a day.
Love me twice in about 8 years.
Sorry, man.
And the reason I called it this is because the first president we're going to be talking about today is the only president to ever have 2 non-consecutive terms in the White House. His name was Grover, and he was not a blue Sesame Street puppet. He was a real giant fat mustached man. Grover Cleveland, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what makes Grover Cleveland especially interesting to me isn't the fact that he had 2 non-consecutive terms. What makes Grover Cleveland interesting to me is the fact that he is probably the first president ever responsible for the mic drop. Now, the reason I say this is because the 1884 campaign for the presidency was kind of brutal. Cleveland's opponent was kind of an asshole, for those of you who need some kind of reference point for what I'm about to say next. It was rumored that he had had an illegitimate child, and so his Republican candidate, opponent decided that he was going to use this to his advantage. He made a commission to have a comic made, or a political cartoon I should say, that had a child screaming with his mother next to him and Grover Cleveland walking away, and it said, "Ma, Ma, where's my paw?" That's kind of harsh, don't you think? You would think that until it started becoming apparent that Cleveland was going to win the White House. And then he had his own political cartoon commissioned as a response. This is how it went. Same visual attempt. "Ma, where's my paw? Off to the White House, ha ha ha. Mic dropped, bitch!
Oh, yeah!
Microphones haven't even been invented yet at this point, but he made it to where we need something to like symbolically drop for moments like that.
The media character assassination, bro.
Exactly, precisely. Character assassination will get you far in this country, ladies and gentlemen, and it will get you out of some tight situations if you need it to. Another interesting thing about Grover Cleveland is his personal life.
Oh.
Grover Cleveland was not the first man to be married in the White House. The first man to be married in the White House was John Tyler. But Cleveland's marriage was particularly interesting. Mainly because it was a girl that he had known since he was a young lawyer. And he was his law partner's daughter. He was about 20 years older than this woman. So as you can imagine, that kind of freaked people out a little bit. But despite that age difference, I respect his wife. I really do. Because right before his first term ended, when they were moving out of the White House, she looked at his servant and said, "Make sure that everything's nice and tidy. We'll be back soon." And she was right. She was right. 8 years later, he got elected to another term. And a lot of people were mainly doing this because the president we had previously was a man named Benjamin Harrison. And Benjamin Harrison, let's just say he didn't have to do a lot to disappoint. Because he was the grandson of old pneumonia himself, William Henry Harrison, the man with the shortest term ever in the presidency. You don't have to try very hard to do better than that. So needless to say, he had a better presidency than his grandfather, but you know what? So would an ant. And so we elected Cleveland.
An aunt or an ant?
Ant, like tiny ant.
Oh,
yeah. Insect ants.
You are in Florida. We call them ants here.
Right. And so we had this issue with Cleveland gets reelected. I'm not going to talk anything about Benjamin Harrison because Benjamin Harrison is the most forgettable president we've ever had. He is. He's more forgettable than his grandfather, which is fucking sad. When your grandfather is known for more things in the White House than you are, you have to reassess your value as a human being. And so back to Cleveland we go. Grover Cleveland's second term is mainly known for two reasons. He had a secret surgery to remove a tumor in his jaw. I will repeat that. The President of the United States of America had a life-altering surgery with nobody knowing about it. I don't know about you guys, but nowadays that would not fucking fly. There would be reporters all over that shit.
They don't know about that.
Like, there would be so many people spreading things about this. Like, if the president he was gone for 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
They've been bought off now, dude.
Yeah, but can you imagine if the president went missing for 3 days? What kind of rumors would be spreading? 1890s reporters, they didn't give a shit, and that's very surprising, considering that the 1890s gave us fucking William Randolph Hearst. They didn't give a shit. They were more concerned about trying to start a war, which eventually happened, ladies and gentlemen, with our next president, William McKinley. William McKinley, yeah, fuck William McKinley. William McKinley was the end of a lot of things. He was the official end of deconstruction. Like, reconstruction, I should say, but at this point, deconstruction. Because at this point, nobody gave a shit about what was happening to the former slaves. Nobody. Not a goddamn person. They were more focused on the fact that we've got insane motherfuckers in the White House that we've got to take care of. You guys just do your own thing.
So what happened?
What happened was the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah!
The Ku Klux Klan became very well known during the Cleveland and McKinley administrations.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing you need to know about the Ku Klux Klan during this time, it's that nobody fucked with them. Nobody. This was before Superman got his own comic where he fought the Ku Klux Klan. I am not joking. Superman fought the Ku Klux Klan in the 1930s.
He did. You're right.
And you need to read that comic book because at least that was doing more than the dumbass politicians were trying to do at all. What I can...
You gotta get to the kids.
Yep, you gotta... What I can basically amount this time period to for Black America is imagine if you were suddenly transformed into a giant squid and all of a sudden they told you, hey, you can't move anywhere. What good is being a giant squid if I can't fucking move, asshole? Welcome to being Black in America, guy. And so we had an issue with that, as well as the fact that there was this little tiny island right below Florida that we liked to look at. It was called Cuba. And the Spanish at the time owned Cuba. We did not like that. A person who especially did not like that was the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, a man named Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt wanted a war badly. And William McKinley said, fine, have your fucking war, douchebag. Let me go smoke my pipe and be done with this. William McKinley was a nonsense president, by the way. We're not even going to talk about McKinley. Same way we don't talk about Benjamin Harrison. The only reason we remember William McKinley is because of one simple fact. He made Teddy Roosevelt his vice president because the Republicans at that time were just wanting to fucking get rid of him. Get Teddy out of our way. Get him away from us. He is trying to reform the Republican Party. Yep, because he was right. And they made him the vice presidential candidate because the last person to be elected president who was a vice president was Martin Van Buren, and he kind of fucked that up for everybody. And so they thought that was going to be the end of Teddy Roosevelt's career. But then this unknown enemy surfaced its tiny head, known as the anarchist. Now, for those of you who don't know what an anarchist is, I don't know why you're in the pink piano. Like, I really don't. I expect you to know at least what an anarchist essentially is. So, an anarchist had killed William McKinley because he believed that no state should be running a people. He believed that all states were evil. And yet he only had a plot to kill McKinley, which is weird to me. If you think all states are evil, shouldn't you have tried to do like some big fucking thing at some get-together, like some kind of peace conference maybe? Yeah, like you could have just, the UN hadn't existed at this point, the League of Nations was a failure, but maybe, just maybe you might want to start with, I don't know, the guy who's starting shit in Russia! What? Around this time, Joseph Stalin was taking over, not Joseph Stalin, but Tsar Nicholas II was taking over. And Tsar Nicholas II was a tyrant. Tsar Nicholas II was out of his mind, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I say Tsar Nicholas II was out of his mind? Well, let me just put this in terms that the general public can understand. He let his people starve to death. He let his people freeze to death. He lived in a giant, opulent palace and had all of the furnishings that you could imagine. Stately dinners, elegant balls. Meanwhile, outside, oi, I can't get a fucking... I know, I have a terrible Russian accent, ladies and gentlemen. Just deal with it. I can't get it... Yeah, it might as well be. I can't get any fucking food. What the fuck? And so this was leading towards a really bloody revolution, which I will talk about in my next segment. Thank you all very much. I've been Art Zager.